We have details. We hear from both sides, and we are on the campaign trail tonight following John Mahama and Akufo-Addo. And top stories always brought to you by Gassim Cement, the nation builder, and Vodafone. The future is exciting ready. In the last few days, the debate over who has the best record on infrastructure has dominated the headlines. So will the leaders of the two main political parties agree to a live one-on-one debate on their track records? Well, John Mahama has thrown that challenge, and tonight we are hearing from the government and the NPP what their response is to this particular challenge. We'll get into that shortly, but first listen to John Dramani Mahama.
In 2016, when I was talking about the value of infrastructure, my friends on the other side said, we don't eat infrastructure. We don't eat roads. That was what they said. Today I can see a scramble to grab even KVIPs and any infrastructure and tout it as an achievement. But it's easy to settle the issue of infrastructure. After all, the president said this election is going to be an election of track records. Comparing his track record to my track record, we can settle it easily. Let's have a debate between two of us, the two presidents. Let Nana Akufo-Addo come and sit down. Let me sit down. And let's debate our records. I am willing to present myself for a debate with President Nana Akufo-Addo any day, anytime, anywhere. And we will settle the matter once and for all.
So will the president accept this challenge? Well, we've been hearing from the NPP's national organizer, Sami Ewuku, on this. He says, well, it's not part of their plan and they don't need a debate as far as this challenge is concerned. Listen to Sami Ewuku.
We want to make one thing clear. The NPP will fight these elections on our own terms. The NPP is not going to fight these elections on the terms of Mr. John Dramani Mahama and that of the NDC. And I like your introduction to this conversation. They said this is following Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's data-driven presentation. So meaning that you do acknowledge that Dr. Bawumia did make some solid presentation, data-driven. These are not projects that you can just imagine. These are projects that you can feel, you can see, they are tangible. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you something is happening around the Pokwati interchange area. You don't need someone to tell you that there's something happening around the motorway, the interchange. You also don't need someone to tell you when you use the Abosokai area of the Bechegodamte interchange. You don't need someone to tell you about what is happening of the Tema Pakadan railway line. You see it, you walk through it, you know that there's something happening. You also do not need someone to just lie to you or try to play propaganda. When we say that if you go to Tamale today, they're having their first interchange in Northern Ghana under the NPP's administration, the final hydro project, where we've cut off, work is ongoing, and at a greater percentage. Again, if you also want to go to industrialization, I don't need someone to lie to me that if I go to Goma today and I'm looking for Casa de Europa under the 1B1F initiative, it doesn't exist. I'm not too sure what Mr. Mahama wants us to do on this one. But as I said, we have our own campaign strategies and we have our own campaign plan. The NPP will go according to our own strategy. If the need arises and we feel that it's necessary, then we can give it a thought.
Now, Mr. Oku, you are so confident about your government's performance in its administration. Would it not then be a walk in the park for you to debate the former president and show Ghanaians in full view that you have done a better job?
Well, I'm sure the Ghanaian people also can feel and they can see that indeed the NPP is also working, and we've done a fantastic job. And if you take under the One Village, One Dam initiative, in excess of over 400 dams, but with over 370 or so flowers completed and working. So I don't need a debate to tell you that these are tangible things, these are things that are happening across the country.
Well, as we speak tonight, continuing the infrastructural team, both gentlemen, the President Akufo-Addo and former President John Dramani Mahama, are all actively on this infrastructure agenda. The former president is currently, as I speak, traveling on the Eastern Corridor roads, a road that his government invested in. The current president, Nana Akufo-Addo, is also in the central region and has just cut sword for the construction of the Elmina Fishing Port project, obviously part of what he hopes to be his infrastructural legacy. We'll hear shortly on what's happening with the former president, but I want to bring in my colleague Kojo Nyako, who's following the president in the part of the country. Kojo, the president has been speaking to the chiefs and people there as part of the sword cutting. What has he been saying?
Well, so the president says that they hold the fishing industry very, very dear, and so that is why government is investing a lot in the fishing industry. In fact, what the sword was cut on was an expansion project, and they also rehabilitate to expand it to make sure that it creates more jobs for the people along the coastal belts of the country, precisely the people of Elmina.
The project will also provide beach and coastal protection works, as well as restoration of the area in front of the Elmina Castle to enhance tourism. I want to reaffirm, in response to Edina Mahin, the statement just made by the Minister for Tourism, Creative Arts and Culture, that a new policy is being worked out to enhance revenue sharing with traditional authorities of the location of our castles and forts along our coast. So Nana Kondia, you will hear from us soon, and you will also receive assistance to complete John Ajekun Kufuor's construction and of a new palace for you. A chief of your standing should not be exposed to the threats of a landlord. You should be your own landlord. And government recognizes the significant contribution of the fishing industry to our non-traditional export market. In spite of the good strides we have been making over the years in the industry in relation to infrastructure development for fishing communities, we believe that we can do more in terms of export of processed fish and fish-related products to rake extra revenue for our country. Government continues to make deliberate efforts to make value addition a priority through policy interventions for companies. I urge the Ministers of Transport, Fisheries and Works and Housing, the contractors and consultants, to work closely together to execute this project diligently and ensure it is completed on time and on budget. Once completed, Nananum, I appeal to you to help ensure that a prudent maintenance culture is adopted by management in the use of the fishing port. All of us must appreciate that the deterioration of infrastructure and other assets of state are an enormous drain on our national resources, and this port should not suffer the fate of other facilities with a poor maintenance culture. The Nanum residents of Elmina, I thank you for your continued support for the work of my government in my first term, and God willing, with 4 more for Nana and the MPP, we shall all gather here to commission this project soon.
Kojo, what else has he been doing?
Well, so 2 more project sites were visited by the president. The first is the Chifu Praso Bridge. It cost $40.2 million, and the president inspected that one. The second was the Chifu Praso District Hospital. The president also inspected that project. In fact, we are now retiring to Cape Coast, and tomorrow there will be commissioning of 2 projects, the Ekunfi Fruit and Juices Factory, and then the Casa de Europa Potato Processing Factory at Gomwa West.
Kojo, thank you very much. So let's hear from government now on this challenge to the president to debate the former president. Of course, the two gentlemen standing on one platform, eyeballing each other, debating their records. I'm joined on the telephone line by the Deputy Information Minister, Pius Hajide, on the telephone line right now. We'll be joined by, shortly, from the NDC also, Mr. Sami Jemfi, as we debate this a bit further. Mr. Pius Hajide, so the president is in the central region, cutting sword, commissioning projects. This is infrastructure that he's showcasing. Bawumia had done same 17,000 plus. If it's as good as what the president and Dr. Bawumia says it is, why don't you want to stand on the same stage and eyeball former President Mahama and debate him on that record?
Well, Evans, good evening to you and our cherished listeners. Indeed, it is that good. Over 17,000 projects, really and truly unprecedented for the first term of any administration since 1992. And we do not believe that we need a debate, the razzmatazz, and if you may, the formality of a debate to tell the people of Ghana on whose mandate and with whose resources we are supposed to have provided this infrastructure to account to the people. In fact, I think that that invitation, apart from being pointless and unnecessary, it is also rather insulting to the people of Ghana that when Mr. Mahama is invited to share with us what he did with the people's mandate and with the people's resources within his tenure as the President of the Republic, he gives conditions about a debate, an eyeball-to-eyeball formality before he can engage with the people of Ghana. I think that, you see, this is a desperate but maybe a smart way for Mr. John Dramani Mahama to obfuscate the discussion that is already ongoing. Ever since Tuesday, the people of Ghana have been having this debate already. It is on. If Mr. Mahama has any record tangible to share with the people of Ghana, and not going back to J. Kufuor's tenure, and not going back to Atamilsi's tenure, if he has any project that he himself, within his first term, can boast of, he does not need the formality and razzmatazz of a debate to share that information with the people of Ghana.
Yeah, I mean, the president didn't speak himself. I mean, the vice president spoke and, of course, spoke on his behalf. The former president says others have been speaking on his behalf. Felix Kwachi Fosu and others have been speaking on his behalf on this infrastructure. They've been debating. He says, let's move it to the leaders. Let's take it to the top. And you say it's a ploy to divert attention or not engage the real issues?
Well, it's a ploy to obfuscate the discussion. But Evans, I think that it is.
But isn't that really what we need when the two leaders? Because everything that has been said this week that you point to were just said on their behalf. Isn't that rather be serving the public better when the two men on whose behalf everybody, including yourself, will be talking, really now do it themselves?
Evans, let us move away from that trivial argument. It is neither here nor there. When Mr. Mahama speaks, he will speak for and on behalf of his government. When Nanado speaks, he speaks for and on behalf of his government. On Tuesday, when His Excellency Dr. Bawumia speaks, he speaks for and on behalf of government. Who speaks on these matters does not make the argument any or less important. The facts are out there to be verified. And so this invitation of personalizing the discussions to certain individuals is again a desperate attempt to want to move away from the germane issues. What has your government done? Tell us what your government has done and move away from this discussion. But you see, Evans, I am not surprised. The sheer disrespect and arrogance that we are seeing from some state actors, especially previous actors, I am scandalized by it. You recall the comment that if you have not been president before, you cannot advise me. Today we are being told that if you have not been president or if you are not president, I will not respond to anything you say even if this matters, if this border on an invitation for me to account to the people on my Monday. I think that it is insulting to the people of Ghana.
Is the president afraid of a debate with John Mahama on this?
Why would the president be? But I'm saying to you that the invitation is pointless. The point is that the president will merely be repeating what Dr. Bawumia has said. So why must it be the president who merely comes to repeat what is tried knowledge, what everybody knows? Look, this is because we are where we are, because Mr. Mahama has been advised that the information that is available to the NDC as far as their infrastructure, the first-term infrastructure of Mr. Mahama is concerned, is abysmal, and that he must find a smart way to move away from the vexed issue and to personalize it and to set conditions. So what? If we agree on a debate, then the next condition is that, well, if Mr. Evans Mensah comes, I will not debate. I don't want Mr. Evans Mensah to be there. Are we going to now continue to be shifting goalposts? The man must speak to the issues. The matters are already in the public and they are under interrogation. If he has any information, and if he indeed respects and values the people of Ghana, whose mandate he seeks yet again, he should respond and tell us what he did with the people's money and the people's mandate. The rest matters and formality is neither here nor there.
Let me bring in just a second. Let me bring in your friend and colleague, Mr. Sami Jemfi, who joins us on the telephone. Mr. Jemfi, so really, what's the point of this debate that the former president is calling for? What purpose will it serve?
Thank you, Evans, and good evening to our cherished listeners. The call for this debate by President Mahama, flag bearer of the NDC, is to settle the contention on whether or not, or on who between the NDC and the MPP has a better or superior record of delivery within the period they served this country. President Mahama, between the period of 2013 to 2016, when he was president, undertook many significant projects which transformed this country and impacted positively on the socio-economic lives of Ghanaians. And these are projects that are palpably evident in all sectors of the nation. Projects that are unprecedented in the history of this Fourth Republic. And there is ample evidence to that effect, whether it is education, whether it is health, whether it is roads, whether it is aviation, maritime. President Mahama's record of delivery towers far above that of any administration under this Fourth Republic, not to talk of just the Akufo-Addo government. Our friends in the MPP this week have sought to project a few plagiarized Mahama projects and a handful of mediocre projects as achievements, which they have brandished all over the place and are creating an impression that it is something we have never seen in the history of this country, and that it is better than what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama achieved for this country between 2013 and 2016. And His Excellency the President says that facts are sacrosanct. If you believe you have a better record of delivery, let us settle this issue once and for all. You and I, eyeball to eyeball, on a platform being watched by the entire country, so that we can defend our records. Show us what you have done in the area of education, so that Ghanaians will know that apart from a few 1,250 classroom blocks you claim to have done, 770 of which he bequeathed to you that you have completed, you cannot boast of any secondary schools, you cannot boast of any university that you have established, you cannot boast of any significant infrastructural projects in the education sector like dormitories. Like President Mahama can boast of 180 dormitories, can boast of 123 community-day senior high schools, 46 of which were completed and handed over to this government. They cannot boast of a university. Like President Mahama, secured $55 million for the Solmenya campus of the University of Environment and Sustainable Development in the Eastern region. Whether it is a health sector, President Akufo-Addo should come and show us the district hospitals in the last 3.5 years, having promised one district, one hospital.
But Mr. James, you can put out your side and respond in detail with your own evidence without necessarily a debate that then sensationalizes it.
President Mahama has already, the Mahama government has already accounted for the 4-year mandate it was given between 2013 to 2014.
How did he do that?
The evidence is contained in the Green Book, and that is why the Green Book is titled Accounting to the People. And so, whether it is a soft copy of the Green Book or the hard copy, you see details of all projects undertaken by the ex-Wa Mahama regime in all sectors of the economy based on the resource envelope the government had within that period, which was just about 195 billion Ghana cedis. President Akufo-Addo, on the other hand, has had access to over 370 billion, almost double what President Mahama had in 4 years. And yet he cannot point to any district hospital he has constructed. He cannot show us any secondary school he has constructed. He cannot show us any major life-changing projects, any, big ticket projects. He doesn't have an airport to his name. He has not invested in a maritime sector. He cannot talk of any major developments in the aviation sector, the railway sector.
I want to clarify if you may, Mr. JP.
If you look at
just
like
for clarity, when the former president says debate, is he talking about a debate just on infrastructure or a debate on records generally?
I think the statement that was issued by the campaign spokespersons for the NDC, James Ajeni Boate, my brother, was very clear. It is a debate on the record of delivery of the Mahama administration vis-a-vis that of President Akufo-Addo.
So this is in all aspects of governance?
Yes, of course, not just infrastructure. Evans, in all sectors of the nation, President Mahama's record towers far above that of President Akufo-Addo in all sectors of the nation. There is not any basis for comparison. And he will completely vanquish President Akufo-Addo in any debate. And that is why Pius Hajide and our brothers in the New Patriotic Party are running away from this debate. This is not Candidate Akufo-Addo, when he was in opposition, debated President Mahama at the IEA debate. They've had a debate before. When President Mahama was president, he was ready to debate then candidate Akufo-Addo in 2016. But he ran away from the debate. Today you are president. The man in opposition, the opposition leader, is daring you to a debate that if you are saying that you have delivered, significant projects that have affected positively the lives of Ghanaians, then let us have a debate and settle this issue once and for all. And you are beating about the bush, conjuring excuses, running away from a simple debate. Why can't President Akufo-Addo defend his own record? Can't he defend his own record? Because it's Evans. It is simple for Dr. Bawumia to mount a platform, and just wax lyrical about plagiarized Mahama projects and mediocre projects like speed ramps, polytanks, toilets, and projects which really should be celebrated as achievements by unit committee members and assembly members, and not central government, and not a government which has had over 370 billion in revenue. It is easy for you to do that and get away with it because nobody is there to counter the facts. The only way Ghanaians can appreciate the facts is when both President Mahama and President Akufo-Addo are put on one platform, to account for their stewardship.
I want to bring back. I want to bring back Paul very briefly. All across the established democracies, the U.S., of course, and the oldest one, the UK, debates among the leading contenders is such a norm. In fact, it's part of the enrichment of the process towards an election to help the electorate make informed, better choices at the poll. It's such an established. In fact, the U.S. they have a commission just for debates. But I've heard you argue tonight that this is sort of a disrespect to the people not to throw a challenge to the president, etc., etc. The president, had debated John Mahama before. We've heard Sami Jamfi say tonight that this is beyond just infrastructure, but it's to general records. Knowing what happens elsewhere in democracies that are pretty established, you still insist as a government that this is not something that you think is useful?
Yeah, Evans, you're right that the president has debated Mr. Mahama before and debated lots of presidential candidates. In fact, most people will admit to you that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, an articulate presenter, and now he has the evidence and the data. His work as a debater will be made much, much more easier than it was even in opposition when, given the opportunity, he trounced Mr. Mahama at the debates. They had to employ communist inferior tactics of coughs and all that.
I mean, the difference is that now the difference is now he's in government.
Don't worry, allow me to go.
Just for the time, I just have a minute to run.
But you allowed Sammy Jofi some leverage.
But I mean, I put you before that now, so yeah.
I would wind up briefly. So I'm saying that we don't have a problem with a structured debate as part of our governance program. And you spoke about the commission, even in the U.S., that talks about debates and so that organizes debates and so on and so forth. But when it becomes a condition that when Ghanaian, the people of Ghana, are invited to interrogate your record on infrastructure, the first time that you were president, the people of Ghana want to hear, because you have been challenged, that no government, including yours, and especially yours, has come close to the truly unprecedented provision of infrastructure. You don't turn around to set a condition precedent for you to account to the people. So nobody in principle is averse to the idea of a debate. I am confident that on any day, when Mr. Mahama meets Nana Akufo-Addo to debate him on any topic, knowing Nana Akufo-Addo and having monitored debates in this country, I'm not sure Mr. Mahama can survive such an exercise if he does not employ communist inferior tactics like they did some time back.
Well, I'm grateful, Pius Ajide. I just ran out of time on this. That's the Deputy Information Minister, L.A. Sami Jemfi, there. I want to quickly bring in the founding president of Imani Africa on this question of how useful this will be to have the two gentlemen leading the NDC and MPP on the same stage debating these vexed matters. Mr. Kujo, so would this be a useful thing? Would it serve the electorate at all? Would it be useful to the electorate who will be voting on December 7th?
Without a doubt, in addition to the background you've given, I think it will be useful for the simple reason that beyond the optics of, claiming credit for this and that, there's a very important question that we also need to answer. The value for money asks questions, and indeed the resource envelope, where the money will be coming from all these wonderful initiatives that the two major parties have undertaken. I think it's useful, and certainly, I think I can pitch that Imani and Joy FM and Multimedia will be ready to host them. In fact, I think that the Bawumia should equally call on Mami Jane for a debate on a similar debate, really. I think it will be useful.
And of course, I'm pretty sure that we've already started doing this. This is some definitely that we're very, very, very ready to our host.
Well, definitely we have. And you see, if they decide not to, if one party decides not to, it wouldn't be just John Mahama who will be charging, because I think that the other candidates who we are going to host in the next couple of weeks, the minority parties, would also equally take a bite. By the way, President Nanado has not said anything yet, and I don't think that is fair to him when his spokespersons are speaking on his behalf and saying they don't need a debate. The Nanado I know doesn't run away from debates. I'm sure if given the opportunity, he would definitely do it. So would ask him officially, and I think that debate must be had. That's Imani Joy.
I'm grateful. That is the founding president of Imani Africa there speaking to us on this. What do you make of this, actually? Should there be a debate between the John Mahama and Nanado? Let me hear from you. Maybe your voice might make this happen. 0244 340 437.